Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing a car in Asphalt 9 multiplayer that I haven't really seen anybody else test, and I haven't really seen anybody else use it in multiplayer either, except for maybe one or two people. It is the BMW M4 GTS, and it's really not bad. So my upgrades are at 8888 with almost all import parts put on it. I think when I recorded the multiplayer races, I had a bit fewer import parts, so that's why my rank will be a little bit lower. So now for the first race that I ever played in this car in multiplayer. It is against an Acura NSX, as well as 3 Porsche 911s, and a few other cars. It has decent acceleration, although not the best, but not the worst either. Basically, this car is good in all aspects, so I would say it's fairly well-rounded. It may feel a little heavy at times, that's what I noticed, but it's still a very good car. So I 360'd a little bit too much coming off that building there, but do not fear guys, this car has power. Oh, and before I forget to mention it, Gameloft completely turned off 360 knockdowns at the beginning of the race, in the first 10 seconds I believe it is. That's a pretty nice touch in my opinion, and I'm sure most people will agree with that, because now you don't get some noob that you're trying to pass and he just 360 knockdowns you, and, well, there goes your race. That can't happen anymore. Of course, you can still get knocked down later in the race, after 10 seconds, but most of the 360 knockdowns happen in the first 10 seconds of a race, and that was crazy right there. He just flew right over me. So something interesting about this car, and one reason I believe it is pretty good, it has approximately the same speed at this rank as my Acura NSX does at like 800 or 900 rank higher. Now, of course, the Acura has better acceleration and drifting and stuff like that, but if you can get this car up to speed, those Acuras aren't going to be pulling away from you. Here he tries to 360 me, but thankfully I moved out of the way before he did. I flat spin up here on this roof. He takes the slightly longer route over to the right, and thus we managed to come back and get first position. Wow. And after that race, I knew that I was going to have fun with this car. We went up a good 43 points in this race, so let's see what the cars were that we beat. So, there was a 2000-something rank Acura and multiple 911s. That's pretty good. Now for our second race, in which we are facing a 2700 rank Aston Martin Vulcan, a 2400, almost 2500 rank Acura NSX, as well as a bunch of other cars, like for example an Exotic Rides, which does seem to be quite good even at a fairly low rank. I just got that car today as of me recording this, and I hope to make a video about it probably near the beginning of next season. Also today I have unlocked the Vulcan and DB11, so it's been a very prolific day for me in Asphalt 9. So at this point the Acura is the car that is right ahead of me. Now that should make sense, since the Acura is one of the fastest starting up cars in the entire game. However, he goes the wrong route, and somehow lands in the ship. I'm not exactly sure that route, but anyways, he narrowly misses knockdowning me with his shockwave. Now, I use my shockwave to get up to speed, go up this ramp, and slowly but surely catch up to him. One of the most important things to learn in Asphalt 9 is when to use what kind of nitro. See here, because I was able to use better kinds of nitro, I am now catching up to this Acura quite quickly, and while he may be like 1 or 2 miles per hour slower than me, that's not going to make a big difference. Mainly it's the nitro. So somehow, without even meeting the 2700 ranked Vulcan, don't ask me how, I have no idea, we finish in first place for the second time, this time going up 41 points. Let's see what the cars were. So the Vulcan was at 2740 and the Acura at 2488, as well as that Exotic Rides I told you about earlier, and another M4, but I think that's the only other M4 I see throughout this entire video, and one of the only M4s other than mine that I have seen in my hundreds probably of multiplayer races. It's just not popular. I don't think it's even all that hard to obtain. So yeah, definitely, if you get this car, give it a shot in multiplayer to start if you can, because that's when it does quite well. So this cup we're playing right now brings back bad memories for me of the Terzo Millennio Cup, in which a random person who participated would win a trip to Italy to visit the Lamborghini headquarters there. I'm not entirely sure why they decided to choose somebody at random instead of just choosing the top time in the events, but who knows? Maybe that means less chance of a hacker winning the trip or something. I forgot to tell you at the beginning of the race what our competition is. So we have an 1800 something Exotic Rides and a 2100 Ford GT. Those are in fact the two cars ahead of us right now, and I noticed that as I climbed up the ratings in this car, like I got 42 and 41 in the first two races, it became increasingly difficult to actually win. This is because of Asphalt 9's matchmaking system, where people are paired not based on car rank or performance, but on the player rating. So generally what ends up happening is people with higher ratings will use higher cars to be able to beat all the other people with higher ratings that are using higher cars. So that is why using a car such as this one will not exactly do all that well once you get to, say, Platinum or especially Legend League. But it's definitely a good car up until that point. Now here, I almost caught up to this Exotic Rides before the finish line. Alas, it was not enough, and we finished third. So the other cars in this race, besides that Exotic Rides and Ford GT, I believe it is, we also have an Aston Martin DB11 and a Porsche 911 GTS Coupe. I don't believe the other ones are all that great in multiplayer. So the thing about the DB11 is it can reach a very high speed at a very low rank. At just 1600, it can go faster than my Acura at 2880 something. And that's only one start. It can go up to 3. So here, this car comes up next to me, and I 360 and knock him down. It is after the 10 seconds at the beginning of the race. Now, the weird thing about that, I did not purposely 360 there. Believe me or not, I didn't. I still don't quite know exactly what happened. I must have pressed some key that I didn't mean to, but it definitely wasn't the S key, which I normally use to 360. Maybe it was the down arrow, who knows? So anyways, what I was talking about earlier with the Aston Martin DB11, if it's so fast at such a low rank and can be start up to be even faster, why don't more people use it? Because it isn't all that hard to get. I would have had it a lot sooner if I had progressed through career faster, because I'm currently between 20 and 30% of the way done with it. Yeah, I spend most of my time in Asphalt 9 doing multiplayer, not career. So back to our original question, why don't more people use the DB11 if it is so fast for its rank? Or just simply, why does it not seem to do as good as you might think it would do? The reason is, it takes so long to get up to its top speed. That seems to be a trend among cars in this game. The fast ones tend to have slower acceleration, maybe not quite as good drifting. Now, a car around the same rank that has a lower top speed, say the Acura at 2886, has quite a low top speed for its rank. However, its acceleration is extremely good, which makes up in a lot of cases for the lack of speed. So here we got beat by a 2800 NSX, but we did beat a 2100 911 as well as an 18-something W70. In this race, we are facing a rank 3000 Acura NSX. You see him speeding away up there. That is probably one of the fastest accelerating cars in the game. We also have 2 Cadillac CNs. Now, an interesting fact about the Cadillac CN is that it is actually the oldest car that is in Asphalt 9. You see, if you haven't noticed yet, Asphalt 9 has mostly newer, more modern cars. You know how Asphalt 8 has like the old Impala and the Camaro Z28? There aren't things like that in Asphalt 9, and I don't expect there to be. However, the CN is a little bit of an exception. It is a concept from 2004, and I guess they thought it looked modern enough, and it was a concept, so they decided to put it in. And as you'll see in this race, being old does not make it bad in the slightest. So at this point in the race, I was at 3 out of 6 position, and the car ahead of me was one of the Cadillac CNs. The 2 cars battling up there ahead of me are the 3000 plus rank Acura and the other Cadillac CN. So I was thinking, this probably will not turn out well for me. I'm pretty sure all 3 of those cars are faster than me. The Asterion is long gone, yeah. Long gone behind me, that is, so because of a little flub back there in my driving, this other CN managed to get past me. However, the Acura had a bit of a problem, so at this ramp, I fly right past him, nearly catch back up to the CN, but the Acura is still behind me. He takes the slightly longer route to the left, and I was thinking, can I beat a 3000 plus Acura in my M4 at rank 2000 almost? And it turned out that I was actually able to, because the thing is, once the Acura gets behind you and you have a straight way, you don't really have to worry about him because their speed is not all that great. They just have a big acceleration advantage. So even though we lost to 2 CNs, we did beat a rank 3030 Acura NSX. Okay, so this race is with some of the big boys. I have no idea what accent I just did or why in the world I did it. So we have an Icona in this race, as well as a W70, Gaming Arnab in his 911, as well as, I believe, an Aston Martin DB11. Oh yeah, and did I mention an Acura NSX that was even higher than the one in the previous race? He's at rank 3,152. Here I shockwave and knock down the Icona. I targeted him on purpose because that Icona is also over 3,000 rank, and he can go extremely fast. That is the car that currently, as I'm recording this, is in one of the blueprint packs that you can buy in the shop. I'm like 30 something away from getting it, so I'm probably not going to be going for it this time. So the cars ahead of me right now are that DB11, the one right in front of me, the exotic rides at just 1870, and the Acura, and I have now passed the DB11, so we are up to now 3 out of 8 people. But then the Icona passes me, and I have a bit of a problem here, using nitro when I shouldn't have, and so I fall back into 4th position. You see, in this game, just determining when to use nitro is so very important. Probably one of the most important skills you can ever pick up in a game, and the thing is, you can't exactly plan for it all the time. While there's some places on the track that you can learn when to use nitro and when to not use nitro, at some parts you may have or may not have nitro at the same section, so you've really got to learn to make split-second decisions on this matter, and I will tell you this, it probably can save you in multiplayer more than pretty much anything else, just learning when to use nitro. And not just when to use it, but which of the 4 kinds of nitro to use. So we have come in 4th in this race, but we have beat this DB11 as well as a couple of 911 coupes. The thing is, those 3 cars above me are still better than this car. While this car is good, there are certainly lots of better ones. So in this race, we are facing a higher ranked Exotic Rides W70 as well as 2 Porsche 911s and an Aston Martin DB11, which, as I said earlier, can be quite fast at a low rank. So I guess during this race I'll give my finishing thoughts on this car. It is quite a nice car to drive, not necessarily the best, but it's not the worst either, and that also is basically how it performs in multiplayer. Not the best, but not the worst either. I really think it deserves more use than it gets, because it's just about as good as, say, the Porsche 911, or maybe even the DB11, both of which are much more commonly used cars, and this car can very easily match their performance. Plus, it can be made purple, so what else do I have to say? Even though it may not be able to reach Legends League, it is certainly a fun and useful car for lower leagues. Now, since we have a bit of time left in the video, I would just like to say something about a video that I'm going to be making fairly soon about the new multiplayer matchmaking system in Asphalt 8, where basically you are paired based on car speed rather than car rank. I believe matching cars based on speed rather than rank is a much inferior system, and I will talk about that in my video about it, in which I will also be telling you guys about a petition to change multiplayer back to being based on rank instead of speed. It has already gotten quite a few signatures on it, but I hope to get even more so that we can make Asphalt 8 multiplayer great again. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing to see more Asphalt 8 and 9 content. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!